everyone, my name is Paulina and I am also a part of Group 5. Due to COVID, we were not able to meet in person to record this presentation. However, we were still able to come together to put this presentation together for y'all. So please join me as we learn about synecdoche, pathetic fallacy, personification, and metonymy.
Hey everyone, I am Renee Rodriguez, and I'm just gonna talk about synecdoches. I know it sounds funny, it's a funny word. So what is it? It is a form of figurative language in which a part of a sentence is made to represent the whole or the other way around. A synecdoche comes from the Greek word to take up together. The etymology of it, it originated in the 1350s, 1400s, and it was used in the Middle Ages as a form of Latin. And it is usually used in informal settings or writing. So why do we use synecdoches? It can make speaking shorter, easier, and sometimes more descriptive. Authors often use these as literary devices that allow them to have more natural and creative flow. So, it's just like sayings. So let me give you some examples so that you will know why they use them, so that you know. Let's say we say Los Angeles won by 3 runs. So I would be talking about the Los Angeles baseball team, right? Or sometimes when people use the word Coke, to some it just might mean like a Coca-Cola. But to others, or to a lot of people actually, it can refer to all carbonated drinks. So it's not just a Coke, it can be a Coke, a Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, even like any of that. When you say the word Kleenex to refer to any kind of tissue paper that you use to blow your nose, you kind of generalize it, right? Also, when somebody says, oh, like he got a new set of wheels, or his parents bought him a new set of wheels, and you know that they're referring to the fact that they bought a new car. Also, how about you say, he has 4 mouths to feed. You're really saying there's 4 people at their household that need to be fed. Or when somebody says all hands on deck, like you're asking for help, right? And you're like all hands on deck and you're with a team, you're referring to needing everyone's help to get the job done. So those are just a few examples of synecdoches. Sometimes they are confused with metonymy, but there's a huge difference. Just kidding, that's a small difference, but my teammate will let you know what that difference is.
I'm Ashley, and I'm going to be talking about pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy, the definition is giving human emotions to things that aren't human, such as objects, the weather, or animals. This phrase was coined by John Ruskin and is defined as emotional falseness. It's usually used to reflect or foreshadow some aspect of a poem or narrative at that point, such as the plot, theme, or characterization, and so intensifies the tone. Pathetic fallacy is often confused with personification. Pathetic fallacy is strictly for emotions only, and personification is when you give any human quality to a non-human object or a man-made object. Pathetic fallacy is typically used as a form of irony, and it's sometimes taken literally when used in academic settings, as it is often used in a way to make the subject more easy and understandable for the students. Personification is more commonly used in writing, and it's an umbrella term often used when talking about pathetic fallacy. So pathetic fallacy falls under a term of personification. Some examples of pathetic fallacy is fair lakes reflect a blue and gentle sky, and when troubled by the winds, they tumult is but as the play as a lively infant when compared to the roarings of the giant ocean. And this is a passage from Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Another example is violent thunderstorms. And another one is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by Williams Wordsworth. So pathetic fallacy is very commonly used, but is often mistaken for personification or as a metaphor. And thank you, that is all I have.
Hi everybody, I'm Raven and I'm going to be talking about personification. So by definition, personification is a figure of thought or trope in which an abstract concept, animal, or inanimate object is treated as though it were alive or had human attributes. So we're kind of like mirroring our humanity onto these other just like objects and animals. It's a really popular form of metaphor. It's used very often. I chose the giving tree for this picture because I think it's one of the like most popular forms of personification that a lot of us are familiar with. It's giving this tree like an entire human identity. And in a lot of ways giving all trees human identities because we identify with this one tree and we're going to kind of project that onto other things at some point. Personification adds a lot of life and motion to these inanimate objects. Instead of that just being like an apple tree in a forest, it was able to be an entire entity that we empathize with and felt for and like cried for and really like appreciated everything that it did. It's a tree, so it's pretty cool. Also, so yeah, relatability, we're adding drama. It's really common. I mean, we use personification in our daily lives, referring to like the hairs on my arms stood up. My alarm yelled at me, screamed at me to get out of bed this morning. The wind is howling today. All of this just adds more like action to our lives in general, and it makes it easier to talk about something. And then the literary piece that I chose for this was Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death, because she's taking something that's really abstract and like a really loose concept, which is death, and giving it a human form basically, and making it something that like you are with and beside and has empathy and compassion, kind of taking away from like the mystery and the scariness of it. I feel like this is a really interesting form of personification. It's a good example. I think it just like really drives that point home. Yeah, I hope that was insightful for everybody a little bit and they understand it a bit more. Everything that comes after this too is just kind of like other forms of personification and metaphor that help us add more definition and dimension to our work.
All right, I'm here to talk about metonymy. And what I found in my research is that it was helpful to first understand what a metaphor was, because there's a relation between that, synecdoche, and metonymy. All three are figures of speech, okay? But when the figure of speech we refer to as a phrase being used as an analogy, that's a metaphor. So I hope you guys are ready, because I'm about to blow your minds away. But I hope not literally, because this act of blowing your minds away was a metaphor, okay? So I'm glad our classmate Renee touched base on synecdoche, but I really found it useful to differentiate the two side by side right now, because I was confused myself with metonymy. But going back to synecdoche, or kind of to reemphasize and to support, make sure you guys thoroughly understand that. It's a part of a word or a phrase, right? Used to describe something as a whole. For instance, let's say my friend just bought a brand new car, shows up to my house, he walks outside and says, check it out, look at my new set of wheels. Okay, so he's referring to this part of the entire vehicle, but it's a common phrase to make reference to a brand new car. Hey, my new set of wheels. Okay, so the part of the vehicle being the wheels makes reference to the whole car. So that is the synecdoche, and I found that kind of helpful because when we're talking about metonymies, that is that's when someone says something but refers to the concept about that thing. So I think best way to understand that is just to jump into the examples. So I listed a couple examples. First thing is the White House. When someone makes reference to the White House, that generally, because like society in nowadays time, makes reference to the American government. All right. So when the media claims that the White House passed a new bill, then they're not actually talking about the building, the White House passing the bill, or it's not a part of the building. They're talking about the concept of this glorified structure that we know as and become to know as the White House, representing the U.S. government. That's exactly what it comes to. All right. And another example that really helped me grasp what a metonymy was using the phrase "give a hand." Okay, so hopefully by the end of this video, our teacher will say, "Hey, let's give Group 5 a hand." Now I hope nobody literally has access to a hacksaw and they want to sever their own hand so they can throw it at the screen in this case, because we're all virtual. But instead, the phrase "give a hand" equates to or is substituted for the term of applauding, right? So that is a metonymy. That action is a metonyme, which is what a metonymy is. So I hope this helps understand these concepts.
We hope that you enjoyed our presentation and that you were able to learn a little something with us today. Thank you.